Hello Aquarius, and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements, looking at your recent past, your current energy, and your immediate future, answering the question, what do you need to know right now in order to move forward in alignment with your higher self? Friendly reminder that these are general readings and they are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and to leave what does not. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me is in the description box below. All right, Aquarius, let's jump on it. We're going to start with looking at overall energy through oracle cards first, and then we'll dive deeper into the story with tarot as we progress. But let's begin with looking at your recent past, Aquarius. What have you guys been dealing with? Nothing is yet set in stone. Step out of your comfort zone. This nothing is yet set in stone card to me is always this reminder that we are the co-creators of our life, that we have the capability to create a life that we truly deserve and desire. But sometimes that life starts to feel more and more out of reach based on the experiences that we have. And I feel like you've been through a lot, Aquarius, that has made you feel like you are needing to settle, or like the life that you are living is just as good as it can get. And I feel like Spirit's trying to push you out of your comfort zone so that you can receive the things that are truly available for you. Because I get what it's like to feel like things can't improve or get better. You can't have the life that you desire. But I also have learned from experience that the more that we accept that that's just as good as things are ever going to get for us, the more that we actually create that. And we don't do it intentionally. And I'm not saying you're doing it on purpose or that you're doing anything wrong. But I do feel like the point of this is to open up your perspective a little bit. But let's see what we've got here for your current energy. Your hard work is paying off. And this is what I feel like you don't feel like this is true. And I think that that's the hard thing, is like you feel like you're, putting in a lot of work and effort but not getting anywhere. And I feel like you actually are getting somewhere. It's just not happening in the way that you expect. The energy is gaining momentum. So things are moving toward a shift here. Things are moving toward a shift. And it's one that feels like it's kind of been a long time coming. What does Aquarius need to know moving forward about their immediate future? Your loved ones are safe. So you're very protected. Your path is very protected. It feels like the universe is moving a lot of things in your favor here. Then you have the end of a tough cycle approaches and a personal issue reaches resolution. So this is shifting towards some sort of a positive outcome. I feel like that's the hardest thing too, is like when you've been on a journey for a while and it just feels like things aren't changing, you start to believe things aren't changing, things are never going to change, it's never going to improve. And I feel like Spirit's asking you not to give up on the journey. Not that I feel like I'm speaking to a collective that would give up on the journey, but sometimes I feel like it can help us to hear things are working out better than we think, and things are unfolding in a way that I feel like will ultimately surprise us. So I feel like this is... this outcome's been a long time coming, but it's very, very well deserved. Very well deserved here. All right. Overall theme of this reading for Aquarius, please. Courage. You're being asked to have a lot of courage right now. The courage to keep putting one foot in front of the other, the courage to try something new, the courage to expand, whatever it is. I feel like it's asking you to dig really deep. And I feel like you've been digging deep, so you're probably pretty tired. But I also at the same time feel, Aquarius, like you have come way too far to only come this far. And then you have magic here. I feel like, to me, when I see this magic card, I think like miracles, or, when things happen and it just feels like magic. It feels like everything is aligning perfectly. It feels like, everything's falling into place, and it's almost like this perfect symphony of events. And I feel like that is what is being orchestrated for you right now. You just are unaware of it because things aren't changing in the way that you want them to yet. But don't give up hope. And I know that that's probably so hard when you've been through a lot. But let's dive into this some more here. Step out of your comfort zone with nothing is yet set in stone. So what has Aquarius been dealing with? I just heard lack. So much lack. Lack of love, lack of money, lack of freedom, lack of abundance in some form, many forms. What does Aquarius need to know about this energy? The Lovers in reverse. Way less than what you deserve. Okay, there's the Death. So you've been in this cycle. It's interesting how often I talk about how our life is a reflection of what we believe that we deserve. And I feel like when I mention that, it has a tendency to make a lot of people really upset, because they'll go, no, I know what I deserve, but I'm not receiving it yet. And when I say that, one of the things that I've really learned is that there is a huge difference between what we know and what we've been taught, like what we have learned. And what I mean by that is, when we've experienced certain things for a long time, a lack of love, a lack of freedom, a lack of abundance, there is a part of us that starts to internalize the belief that that is as good as things can get, that is all that we are deserving of, that is all that we are capable of. Now up here, we're like, no, I know that I'm deserving of more. I know what my worth is. I just can't seem to experience anything that aligns with it. But I'm not talking about what's going on up here. When I talk about your life as a reflection of what you believe you deserve and is capable for you, all those things. I'm talking about what's going on in here, the beliefs that you've acquired through the things that you've experienced. We're born in this world. All that we know is that we exist. Everything from that point forward is up to the interpretation of our experiences, meaning we learn what is possible for us based on what we experience. And if we're not careful, those experiences will become the blueprint for the life that we live. So if we've always struggled with lack or with, whatever the case is, if we've always struggled in some way, we will start to believe that struggle is the only way. And I feel like you're breaking out of a lot of that, Aquarius, and I feel like you're making a lot of progress in a lot of ways. To read off the rest of these cards, you have the Knight of Swords, the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Cups, and the Knight of Cups in reverse, with this Four of Swords here. So I feel like you have made a lot of progress in a lot of ways. You're just not where you want to be yet. And I think that has made it really hard for you to keep believing and keep putting one foot in front of the other, because it almost feels like, you've put in all this work and it's not getting you anywhere. But I feel like it is. I truly feel like it is. I feel like things have been really with this Knight of Cups in reverse really triggering. I feel like there's just a lot of experiences that you've been having where you're like, why won't things change? Why won't things get better? I feel like a lot of repetitive cycles. But here's what's interesting about this reading. I feel like I'm in particular speaking to someone who has been going through a pretty major awakening in their life. Maybe it's a spiritual one. Maybe it's just personally awakening to a lot of things. And I feel like what you don't realize is that so much is shifting within you. And yes, it's taking time, but eventually that's going to catch up outside of you. So I feel like changes are going to start to come like one after the other, because the shifts that you've been making internally are going to start to pay off. So I feel like this is more of an inner journey than it is anything, but that inner journey eventually is going to be reflected in your outer world. So I do feel like you've kind of been stuck in these cycles, but I also feel that those cycles are ending. And I think that this, to me, has to do with like a lot of different things. I don't feel like this is just one thing here, Aquarius, but I also at the same time, I can super relate to this energy where it just feels like nothing is changing, like there's no point because no matter how hard you try, it just doesn't seem to matter. But that is such a dangerous mentality, because that mentality might push you to give up on your path, to give up on putting one foot in front of the other toward the things that you deserve and desire. And I feel like Spirit really, really doesn't want you to do that, because, most people give up right before things shift. Most people give up on a path or on a goal or whatever, they're trying to get toward. Most people give up right before it happens, because that is when, the closer you get to it happening, is when you face the most fear, the most insecurity, the most anxiety. And if we're willing to wade through those things with courage and with faith and with the belief that we're being supported and guided, we can come out on top. We can be the people who don't allow our fear to control us, to decide for us, to determine our life for us. And I think that you've been going through a lot just of obstacles and challenges and setbacks and just one thing after another, but you keep showing up. And that is what is so important, Aquarius. This is a reading for an Aquarius that keeps showing up. And I feel like that will be rewarded. What does Aquarius need to know about their current energy? I knew we were going to see the Eight of Wands, because you have this energy as gaining momentum card, and that's very Eight of Wands energy. So it feels like the energy is picking up, which means you're getting closer and closer to a shift, which probably means that there's a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress right now. And I feel like it's easy for me to be like, you have nothing to worry about, everything's going to work out, but you're a human being, you're having a human experience, you're going to experience those things. I love this King of Swords energy. This King of Swords energy is one of my favorite cards in tarot, because it is all about continuing to show up as if everything is working out for you, even when it feels like it's not. It is, to me, the definition of like equanimity, which is our ability to stay balanced and stay centered and stay certain and stay confident when everything around us feels like it's not happening for us. So this is definitely about some inner strength. And to be honest, I feel like I'm speaking to a very, very, like a collective who has a ton of inner strength. And I feel like what you don't realize is how far that inner strength is taking you, because you haven't seen the results of it yet. And I feel like you will, and you're going to go, oh, wow, that was pretty amazing. What else does Aquarius need to know? The Seven of Pentacles. Continuing to committing to the path that you're on. Now, that's what's hard, is I will say one of the things that is required when we're trying to create a better reality, it is consistent commitment. I think of this a lot, like I learned a lot spiritually through, I just recently went through a pretty intense fitness journey, and I learned a lot spiritually. To me, I think every experience holds some sort of a spiritual lesson. But one of the things that it really taught me is that when you're moving, when you're showing up for yourself, in the beginning, you don't see progress. You don't see progress at all. It's just a lot of weeks and sometimes even months of being consistent and putting in the work and continuing to show up. But then you start to see a little bit of results. And then from there, you have a little bit of motivation. So then you keep going, you keep pushing. But then from there, eventually you plateau and you're back to not seeing results. But it's all about continuing to show up through the ebbs and the flows, because there are times where you feel like things are working out and you're starting to see progress and you're starting to see results. And there are times where you're like, this feels like it is all for nothing. And you get so frustrated and so overwhelmed. But then eventually, if you can wade through those periods, things start to work out. You start to see progress again. You start to, see things shift. But then again, you're going to hit lows. You're going to hit obstacles and challenges and setbacks and failures. For me, I experienced some injuries. I experienced some sicknesses. I experienced life just kind of getting in the way. And then, I had to continue to wait and to consistently show up in the middle of those things. And I've learned that that's a lot of what my spiritual journey has been about too, is that we have to consistently commit before we see results. And what I mean by that is showing up continuously with a continuous amount of effort over an extended period of time. And I see a lot of people do this. They put a lot of energy and effort into it, but then when they don't see results, they take a step back. And they kind of throw in their hands and they say, oh no, this isn't really working. But then they feel inspired. So then they put a lot of effort into something. But then when things get hard, they take a step back. And it's this ebb and this flow. And your energy is very confusing, because you're saying, I'm worthy and deserving of the things that I want. And then you're going, actually, I don't know. I don't know if I am, because it doesn't feel like it's working out. And then you take a step back. And then you come back and you're like, oh, I'm worthy and deserving and I want the things that I want. But then when things get hard, take a step back. And when we're in that energy of like not being consistently committed to knowing our worth, to knowing what we're deserving of, and to showing up, the universe goes, wait, I don't know what to respond to. So then we kind of stay in the same place. So I feel like this is about continuing to consistently commit and putting one foot in front of the other, trusting that things are going to work out, because I do very much feel like they are. What does Aquarius need to know moving forward? One of the first things I ask one of my clients when I'm working with them is when they say, well, I put in all this energy and effort and I just haven't seen results. I typically ask, first of all, like, how long have you given up? Oh, it's been 6 months, or it's been 2 years, or whatever. And then I ask, has that been 6 months or 2 years of consistently showing up, or has it been 6 months of 2 years of putting in a little bit of effort and then not really focusing on it, and then coming back and putting in a little bit of effort? Because that matters. It matters. It seriously matters. I saw this with my business too. When I was trying to grow a business, if I didn't continue to consistently show up for it day in and day out, I wouldn't experience the results that I want. So I know what it's like when it's hard to commit. It's hard to believe that things are working out, and it's hard to keep showing up when it feels like it's all for nothing. But I really feel like Spirit's trying to tell you through this reading that it is absolutely not all for nothing. We have the Seven of Swords here. The Ten of Pentacles. Oh, there is abundance that is hidden from you. Yeah, this feels like and I don't say this often, and if you watch my channel, I don't say this often. This feels like a windfall. A windfall payoff of the effort that you put in. And the King of Pentacles it's a very grounded energy. It's a very secure kind of energy. And I feel like a sense of security kind of returns. So this isn't something that's just showing up. This isn't just you're not doing, you're not taking steps and it just appears on your life. This is a reading for somebody who has been working towards something, who has been taking active, conscious, courageous steps towards the things that they desire, and they start to see that payoff. In a windfall kind of way. And I said this, right? I said, when most of the shifts kind of happen within, and then when you make all of these shifts within, you start to see these changes like kind of all happen at once. I often say that manifestation sometimes makes it look like it happens overnight, because so many things just kind of start to happen, and you're like, whoa, where did that come from? But you don't see the foundation of work that's been put in behind the scenes, the internal shifts and the commitment and all of that. Which, I mean, that was how it was. What was another thing I learned with my fitness journey is like, you kind of see a lot of changes all at once, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, you lost so much weight. Like, how did you do it? Or you look so good. Like, how did you do it? And you're like, I've been on this journey for 8 months and I've been consistently showing up. And I think that when you're not there, when you're not in the day-to-day stuff, a lot of times it can just look like luck, or it can just look like it's just happening for you. But anybody who gets where they want to be in this life knows that there's so much that goes into it, and the consistent commitment to showing up for something. I just feel like this is the universe saying keep going. Like, ultimately, I feel like this is Spirit saying keep going, keep showing up, keep believing, keep dreaming, keep putting one foot in front of the other. Things are going to change. But I'm going to hop on over to the extended. We're going to look deeper at this, ultimately answering the question, what do you need to do right now in order to move forward in alignment with your higher self? Any information for that, again, is in the description box below. Thank you so much, Aquarius, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things that you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. Bye, Aquarius.